thinking about this all through the summer of if we could just get a showcase from individual growers. And so the order of the native plant grower showcase showdown, it's not a showdown, there's no competition. Center for Native Plants we have first. This is just kind of in the order that we received the presentations. So Andrew Belts is here from Center for Native Plants.
Well, I only have 7 minutes, so I'm going to start longer.
Sure, but ready to go. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you go ahead.
I was born in Sheridan, County here. I came down from Whitefish, Montana yesterday, short 8-hour drive, and it was beautiful, beautiful bluebird day. I had been in immersion for days, and so it's nice to see some sunshine. Yeah, thanks for having me here. Thanks for being here. Just get started. Center for Native Plants. We grow native plants in Montana and the Fairground Northwest. That's our sign right outside Whitefish. We're fortunate to have Glacier National Park in our backyard, which is pictured there on the right. And our mission is to promote native plants, restore, protect native habitat, reduce irrigation needs, support pollinator species. All right, well, how do we get started? My background's in forestry. That's me about 23 years ago on the lower right. Company president Greg on the left. James in the middle. James just worked with us at 1 year. I'm not sure he's at these days, so we'll just forget about James. But Greg and I are business partners. We have a third business partner. And I met these guys the year before this picture was taken doing restoration work throughout western Montana. Greg called me up. This is some private property up the North Fork of Flathead, just outside of Glacier National Park that had burned over. My background is in forestry, not horticulture. Greg is a background in business, and James wanted to be like Ken Kesey, I believe. So anyway, we were working this property that got burned over by a wildfire, obviously. And every day, cutting trees down, dead trees, we started seeing plants coming up out of this chart landscape. It was really cool. I knew our trees. I didn't know anything about like what was growing in the understory. So we started to like, kind of geek out on it. Kind of we looked like, well, what are these plants? Started trying to identify them. Kind of made a competition. Who could identify the most? Who could identify something we hadn't seen yet? And so our admiration for native plants, that's where it all started, just watching the resiliency and coming back to life in this chart landscape. And then in 2007, so that was 2002, 2007, we created 4 restoration words, forest restoration, and we started trying to find native plants to put back into the landscape, and it was difficult. It wasn't easy. And I was like, well, let's just start growing. I didn't know anything, but I'm like, we're smart people. We'll figure it out. The learning curve was steep, and it still is. But anyway, this is our nursery today. Here we are, 2024. That's our office for restoration. We bought this 5-acre property in 2012, and we just went for it. We're like, we're going to do a retail nursery. Let's go for it. We have great highway presence up there. It's awesome. So what do we grow? We have over 200 species of wildflowers, ground covers, vines, grasses, shrubs, and trees. Can't quite see it. It's blocked up there, but we also create these kits, these plant kits, to take the guesswork out of what's going to do good for your project. And it's based on your goals, where you live. So we have a lot of people that come in our nursery, they just don't know anything about native plants. Okay? They don't know what they want. So we do water-wise kits, pollinator kits, rain garden kits, lawn conversion kits, and we can customize anything depending on your goals and your site. What else does our nursery do besides have a selection of plants? We also deliver plants. So if you guys want here in Jackson, we'll figure out how to get it here. We do site consultation. We do contract growing. We do seed collection. A few years ago, we collected about 550 pounds of beargrass seed, which wasn't an easy feat because a single beargrass seed doesn't weigh anything. And we do native plant salvage. This is kind of one of my coolest things that I like to do is before a building goes in or a house gets built, if we could be on the front end of it, we'll go in and we'll dig out as many plants as we can, bring them back to our nursery, we hold on to them. Once the construction is complete, we'll go put them back in place. And those are the plants that kind of wanted to look like their house, so their building just sort of fell out of the sky and landed in a very undisturbed landscape. And then we also are an educational hub. We hold talk series all throughout the month of August. We host different organizations and school groups throughout our season when we're open. We we just engage in a lot of people. Our website's awesome, a lot of resources on it, centerfornativeplants.com. Go to the Get Gardening tab, pull it down, there's all sorts of resources there. You can also click on pretty much every species we grow, get this beautiful photo, root characteristics, site characteristics, and a fun fact or two about each plant. For restoration, so that's the other side of things. You know, we're all one business. But we do comprehensive design, planning, and installation. We do community parks and public and private trails. We do forest management. We have some professional foresters on our team and a forestry crew. We do artisan landscapes. We do restoration and revegetation. So we kind of wear a lot of different hats. There's about 30 of us during our work season. Yeah, the demand for native plants, we see it in residential. This was a cool project up in Whitefish. This is, I think, year number 2. But you can see a lot of these plants are sort of salvaged. There's plugs in there. It's sort of a quilt. But this is the kind of project where these people said, hey, I'm going to build this really nice house. I don't want a formal landscape. I want low maintenance. I just want to look like my house fell out of the sky and no ground ever got disturbed. If you've ever been on like a new home construction site, there's a ton of disturbance. Restoration. That's another place we see demand for native plants. This was a cool one on Flat Lake. I ran this one. We ripped out this huge swath of saw grass that was going all the way to the lakeshore and replanted it, native sedges, grasses, some trees, or some shrubs in there. Obviously, deer are always a problem, but nothing you can really do about that. And then we're seeing this more and more with municipalities. This is Whitefish. They actually had us do a comprehensive study on all their public space and their irrigation and how they are sort of maintaining their parks and things like that. Water is expensive. Water is becoming more and more scarce. This is a median in downtown Whitefish that we planted with native plants, has been watered, has had some weeding and things like that, but it's been pretty awesome to drive by this year after year as it kind of fills in. So that's sort of where we're supplying our native plants, where we see the demand. I think this has the most potential, obviously as a grower, as we deal with climate change and things like that. And cities are going to want to start, you know, they're always going to have that green open space, but those little like triangle shapes and things like that you see randomly here and there downtown, I don't know about Jackson per se, they're just really down places to try to water. I mean, why not just fill the native plants and do this thing? Yeah, so we're open April to October. If you want to do a bulk order with us, we ask you here in advance, and you can honestly try to buy anything off our retail floor. We do offer discounts to contractors and wholesale, things like that. And what sizes do we grow? Anywhere from like a little 17 cubic inch plug all the way to a 25-gallon tree or shrub. Or there's clients that are out in the landscape, they want instant gratification. We have these massive miniature dogwoods that are just beautiful. Body natives, like I said, these low water requirements, drought tolerant, low maintenance. I mean, the resiliency after that fire, just watching them come back, that's so cool. They're adapted to our local soils and environmental conditions. Have some pretty good defenses against insects and diseases. They improve native pollinator and wildlife habitat, provide shelter, food, nesting, breeding sites. And this is a big one for me. They create a sense of place. This morning I was having breakfast. I was looking at these photos of the Jackson area. They're beautiful photos that are blown up in the mountains, and there's a sea of balsam root. And it's like it wouldn't look the same without. And the mountains would be there, but just the overall feeling of the place would be the same without native plants. And sod lawns, great. Again, people want them, but that's kind of anywhere in America. I see native plants as being a very unique identifier of the region that we live in. And they enhance biodiversity. This was a little native plant oasis we did in the Flat Valley. This is surrounded by like hundreds, if not thousands, of old ag land. And this is so cool. You go on this property, it's 2 acres. It's mostly smooth brome, things like that that's surrounded. But the pollinators and the birds, man, it's like just this desert, it's this oasis in a desert. It's amazing. You walk out there, it's just so cool. The guy lives there, he loves it. Probably never leaves his house because he can just enjoy everything in his backyard. And then, I guess, for us, like, embrace the wild. Here's a very nice high-end home. They did all natives. They don't want to spend time maintaining things. They want that habitat in their face. Aesthetically pleasing doesn't mean it has to be formal. And I think I'm out of time, right, Liz? Perfect, 7 minutes. Thanks.
So next up, also from Montana, Amy Kelly.
Great.
With her new plants.
Hi. I am so pleasantly surprised by how many people are in this room, and also not in this room, so hi to everybody at home or at your office. But I was not expecting to speak to this many people, so it might take me a second to settle into this space. I'm Amy Kelly. I am the owner-operator of Great Bear Native Plants. I similarly did not start in the horticulture world. I have a dual degree in ecological restoration and resource conservation from the University of Montana, along with a minor in climate change studies. So for me, I really come at this from a resource perspective, from a restoration perspective. Great Bear Native Plants is the great grandbaby of Bitterroot Restoration, which was one of the largest restoration companies in the United States back in the day when restoration was really getting started. We have really continued that restoration tradition now. I think that was in the 90s. So this kind of tradition and this knowledge and even our clientele has been with us for a really long time, even though we're our own company. My parents and I took over Great Bear in 2018. I started working there in April of 2017, right after I turned 23, and immediately thought I could do this better. I'd never worked even in a garden center before, and by the end of that year, I had the opportunity to purchase it with my parents. So we are, one thing that I like to point out about us is all we do is native plants. We collect seed and grow plants. We do minimal consultation with people, but we are plant growers, and that's our focus. So we have 3 greenhouses, which is about 7,000 square feet of indoor growing space, plus another 20,000 square feet of outdoor growing space, basically just where we hold plants and keep them alive throughout the summer. This is exciting and overwhelming news. We are moving our facility. We are on rented parcel. We're moving to a parcel we were able to purchase. So we'll be doing that at the end of this year. So in addition to our 7,000 square feet of indoor growing space in our hard-sided greenhouses, we will be adding another 7,200 square feet of heated space. And this is largely aimed towards retail-ready plants. We have about 10 staff. 5 of us are year-round, and then about 5 plus or minus more throughout the season, depending on how big our season is looking. So this is a picture of what we like to call greenhouse number 3. So like I said, we have 3 bays. Each year we'll start about 500,000 plants from seed. So we will completely fill these up and empty them 2.5 times. This greenhouse every May gets full of about 75,000 sagebrush. So Wyoming sagebrush and Big Mountain sagebrush are probably the plants that we grow the most of every single year, over 100,000. So here's just some more pictures of our facilities and our plants. While we do grow a lot of sagebrush, we also grow everything else. Similar to native plants, we grow over 200 species a year. This includes gramineoids, both wetland gramineoids and upland grasses, wildflowers, shrubs, and trees. I'll really say that our niche is in shrubs, wildflowers, and grasses. We'll let the Forest Service and those big conifer nurseries grow their millions of conifers a year. And we really like to focus on more specialty plants, and also plants that are really common and important in restoration projects. This is Juniper. This is my dog. She's a very important part of the team. And in the greenhouse is Heidi. She's been working with us for many seasons. Just a couple more pictures of the types of plants we grow. So we work with the entire green industry and also the restoration industry. So we work with retail garden centers, we work with wholesale nurseries, landscape architects, landscape designers. We work with excavating companies, we work with coal mines, gold mines, state agencies, municipalities, we work with NPS. We are really lucky to get to kind of have our foot in a lot of different projects and industries. So I just put up some pictures to show some of our plant diversity. Here again is big sagebrush. This is going to a mine in Nevada. This is one of our houses with a lot of wetland and riparian plants. A lot of those are bound for projects in Wyoming, actually. And also around Butte, Montana, where there's a lot of restoration. And then here is a picture of some, on the far right, is a picture of a lot of willows, cottonwoods, all sorts of larger plant material, also bound for riparian restoration projects. But like I was saying, we do also get to work with the pretty plants, if you will, and work with landscape designers. And a big and bigger part of our business is selling to retail nurseries. So on this plant rack, you can see 1-gallon containers destined for a independent garden center, probably in Bozeman. That's one of our biggest markets right now. And each are tagged with beautiful picture tags, which I actually brought samples of too, if there are any retail nurseries that kind of want to get a feel of, one, what our diversity is, and two, what our plant tags look like, because I think it's a really big selling point. On the left is, we don't do a lot of design, but this is actually a large garden that I did design for a local in Hamilton who just really wanted to attract native pollinators. It was a really fun project. I think I was pretty young when I designed this project, and there's an insane amount of plant species in it. I actually can't even tell you how many plants are in there, because I was basically like, let's put one of each in there. If it's full sun, we'll put it in there. For ordering, our goal is to make it easy for you. We want, thank you. Wow, the 7 minutes is going so fast. So for retail nurseries, we open pre-ordering in the fall. Ordering will continue throughout fall, winter, spring, and even into summer. If we have the plants, we will get them to you. For custom grows, it's super timeline dependent on what your goals are, but again, a thing that will work with you. I like to tell people it's never too early to order. And then we do also try to have some plants just available for order, so you don't always have to contract grow, and those can be ordered anytime via email, phone, and we also have online ordering, which makes it really easy. I actually think our biggest selling point, if you will, other than the quality of our plants, which is something that I really like to brag about, is that we make it easy to ship to you. We ship basically any way you can imagine. We'll throw plants in a UPS box, which that's a picture on the right. We can send a pallet to you. We can send a full semi, which actually this is sage stacked going to a wholesale nursery in Idaho. We also have a trailer, box trucks, free pickup. We want to grow the plants and we want to get them to you. And lastly, we do more and more with seed. We do in-house seed collection. We also do collection of willows, cottonwoods, things that grow faster, easier, cheaper by cuttings. We also do custom seed mixes for people and seed packets. I brought seed packets to hand out to people, again, not knowing how many people will be here. I think I brought 8. So if you're really excited, come talk to me. And that is the quick and dirty on Rigby. Thank you so much for your time, and thanks to Teton Conservation District for putting this on. It's really exciting to be here.
All right, next up we have friends from Piney Island, native plants in Sheridan, Wyoming.
So I'm Alicia Reston. I'm the owner and founder of Piney Island Native Plants and the Conservation Horticulturist. Piney Island Native Plants' mission is to increase the availability and supply of native plants for establishment in our Wyoming landscapes. We are passionate about preserving native plant biodiversity, providing habitat for important pollinators and wildlife, and that all increases our quality and value of our landscapes. A little bit about me. I have a bachelor's degree in environmental horticulture from NC Bozeman, where I fell in love with native plants and propagation. I then worked for a researcher, Dr. Destiny, doing advanced propagation, and that's what I love to do. Like, I can geek out on propagating native plants. I hope you for the rest of my life. We were established in 2019, and we're proud to be a woman-owned small business. We're located in Sheridan, Wyoming, on Sheridan College campus, and we grow over 20,000 native plants in our greenhouse every year. And we have an outdoor growing area as well, where we grow the plants and acclimate them to our Wyoming environment to get really hardy stock. And we started this business because there's a need, and we are the only native plant nursery in the state of Wyoming. There's no other when we started. So we want to become part of the solution in these ways. Part of that is really important to us is provide locally sourced and locally adapted native plants, and we do that through sourcing seed that is regional and wildlife directed, as well as in our own wildlife collections. We have permits to do that. And this is Steve, collecting willows for a private ranch. We collected the willows from cuttings and then grew them out. This is the end product. With the acclimating outdoors, we delivered in November, October, November. And we have a variety of container sizes. We grow 10 cubic inch plugs, 40 cubic inch plugs, and number one commercial pots. So 1 gallon pots. And most of our stuff we grow is the 10 feet. And we grow a variety of wildflowers and grasses. And then for our 40 feet, we do shrubs and trees primarily in those sizes. And then the number one pots are the wildflowers and grasses again. And we like to say we grow roots, not shoots, because it's really important to put as much energy as you can into the root systems so that you have increased survivability and establishment. People will see these tiny plants because the shoots, but it's all about that root system. And we have a two-pronged approach. We do wholesale, where we provide plants for agency partners and nonprofits, like for the National Park, for the National Forest, for conservation districts, and just a whole host of different partners. And we provide bulk testing based on quantity. And then we have a retail component where we open our greenhouse for a limited time to our community, where people come from all over the state for our public community plant sales, which is like the highlight of my year. I just love sharing the diversity of native flowers and grasses and shrubs that we grow with our community at a really affordable price. And we also do like custom orders, really big projects. So we've done 3,000 plots for converting non-native plants into wildflower meadow, or like sagebrush for a private ranch, rainfly restoration. And we grow over about 100 species of native wildflowers, grasses, shrubs, trees, willows. I have a passion for wildflowers, so the bulk is the wildflowers. My favorite is the Indian paintbrush and the lemon girl, and this is Rigby flower. So I always love that plant, and it's really challenging to grow. It can be parasitic, so it's partially parasitizes another plant, so it'll grow fruits into another plant in order to be able to thrive. So in the nursery setting, we have to figure out not only how to get it to germinate, but how do we get it to thrive by giving it the right host plant, and co-planting them to grow together to give you a thriving paintbrush. And this is one of our order forms. You can go online to see what we have available. We have a cultural table where you can see the plants we grow, cultural information about them, photos about them. We'd love to geek out on all the different species we grow, but we don't have time, so fun. Seasonal ordering and delivery is standard better. Ideally the fall before the growing season if you want a large bulk order of a wide diversity, because a lot of the native plant species require different seed treatments to germinate, and some of them can take 160 days of stratification. So if you want that species, you need to plant, at least after March head. We see it in March, so thinking about that timeline. And then we also have plants available. You can look, online, see what we have available and order that way. And we do UPS shipping as well. We have an option for you to place your order, and you can come and pick them up by appointment in the greenhouse. Or we do bulk shipping, where we will ship 5,000 plugs to you for your newly converted wildflower meadows. 5,000 plugs. Yeah. That's enough on that. And then I think some of the things that set us apart is we're really focused on sustainability, so we reuse all of our containers. We avoid shipping plastic bags. And then we also are really mindful about our integrated pest management practices. We are organic, we use organic soaps, we use biological controls only, we're bee friendly. And my favorite part is our partnership with Sheridan College, because I get to work with students and provide research projects on native plant propagation or water-wise plantings of a variety of native species. And they get really amazing hands-on learning experiences, in part because of the hands-on we get to learn the morphology of the plants. And we work with providing workforce development training funds to provide grant funding to help provide funding internships.
Okay, how much time do we have? Where are we at? One? Okay, I'll do 2 minutes. So, so just a little bit about me. So, Dave alluded to, we're an operator of conservation services. So, we operate, we frequently collaborate and operate, but essentially, PICS is the operations arm. I like to joke, this is actually the operations arm right here. So, there's all the work with the mission of providing high-quality, effective field services and resource management solutions, specializing in chemical-free habitat restoration. So we really take pride in supporting the biotic systems through every step. Always trying to incorporate science, traditional knowledge, and observation-based practices through every stage that goes. So a little bit about our service area. We serve about a 300-mile radius from Sheridan, North Central Washington, is where we're based. So Teton County is about as far west as we go. We also serve southern Montana and western South Dakota. Primarily, we're working on small to medium scale, less than 1 to about 10 acres, and work-intensive projects, primarily using hand tools, small mechanized and light machinery. Right now, we don't get into the heavy machinery. And we kind of have projects on the gamut, the urban and the landscaping, more rural, and the wildland restoration we do all. So there's a picture of one of our kind of urban native'scapes before. We started with dead, patchy, weedy lawn, converted into awesome, vibrant native landscape, a highlight photo up there, one of the little patches on the interior that we can't really see. The services we approach pretty much the full gamut, from planning and consultation to get a project going, to decide what you're doing, what you're going to need, through quality field implementation, and all the way through evaluating our progress and success and deciding if we need to adapt to come up with other solutions. Like Alicia mentioned, I'll do bulk plant deliveries for Piney Island. We can get them overnight here in our enclosed trailer. And so we can ensure you're getting quality plants. That top right is us after the 3,000 quotes in 3 days over in that Times project that Morgan kind of mentioned. I haven't seen any after photos, so hopefully those are doing great, really well. We were able to come in and work with the client's existing landscaper, which I don't know if it's Valley or not, but that's kind of the collaboration we can offer. And a little paintbrush that's been established on one of our sites as well, like Alicia mentioned. Some of our approach and values, we are minding local, just like plants we grow, we should learn both. And natives, so we take pride in serving our state, understanding and knowing the variety of ecosystems that we have throughout our state. Permaculture design, pollinator stewardship certified, feed no trace, ecological education is all wrapped into everything that we do. We're trying to take a holistic, comprehensive approach, not just what we're doing, but how we're doing it. All about education, outreach, collaboration, and other steps and ways to increase effort and knowledge. A little highlight project, Loveland National Park. Much different environment from here, some of the harshest growing conditions that you can imagine over there, from nothing blasted desert zone essentially that immediately blew up into kochia, all kinds of halogen, all of the weeds you don't want to see. But after 1 year and then 2 years, this is the progress that we can see. Rabbit brush, broom snakeweed, becoming a self-sustaining, self-seeding landscape. Real quick on some interest and demand. The homeowner and landowner landscapes, we're seeing demand for challenge areas. So somewhere here, here's a hillside and a lawn. This lawn is not working there. What else can we do? Hillside's ruining. We have solutions for that with native plants. Wanting less labor, time, and money inputs. I don't have to piece and mow my lawn twice a week. That's a lot of money. What else can we do? And also wanting to attract and support wildlife tourism. I just like to point this out. It's not a rainy day. We're looking at our landscape, kind of looking at some of the critters around that are attracting. And then in the bottom right there, you can see if you zoom in on this. There's a little same spot using the Gloria as an umbrella. Hanging out, looking for a break. So some of the other interesting things we've seen along agricultural support needs, pasture rangeland health, diversity and resilience, pollinator attraction. We're seeing some interesting partnerships and interests with tribal and indigenous folks. Those cultural traditions, both as a mechanism for plants, using plants as food as medicine, maintaining that vitality and those relationships as well. Also youth engagement through programs and other conservation organizations that already have Garden for using native plants for gardens, Audubon with their Habitat Hero, and National Wildlife Federation with Garden. So for that, a little bit of very cool parts of Sheridan. It's a very inspiring and exciting person to be here. We're going to tap into everybody. Thank you so much.
Passionate about what we do, so thank you.
Josh Schultz from OneCanopy.
Good morning, everyone. I want to take the opportunity to thank Morgan and Liz for inviting me this morning, and thank all of you for kind of suffering through my presentation here. Apologize that I couldn't be there in person. I think that this type of venue is so important to native plant growers, nursery operations. My experience has been that oftentimes the grower is the last, kind of the bottom feeder on the great information food chain, and that makes it difficult sometimes, I think, to provide the best service that we can. And so the opportunity to be here and kind of on the front end of the information gathering and the planning is a great opportunity. And so thank you, Morgan and Liz, and thank you, everyone, this morning. Again, my name is Josh Stoles. I am the nursery manager at OneCanopy. And my background, I spent about 13 years in the retail wholesale nursery in Fort Collins, Colorado. I was the nursery manager for the Colorado State Forest Service nursery for about 8 years. Briefly went back to grower direct nursery work, and then found my way to OneCanopy when we started in June of 2022. You can go ahead and move on there, Morgan. So, real briefly, OneCanopy is organized under a foundation. That foundation has investors that use that funding for a triple bottom line business. So what that means is that all of the profits that are generated by OneCanopy are reinvested into the nursery, into the program. We also have a mandate for our environmental impact as part of our operation, and a social impact in how we interact with our community. Go on ahead, Morgan. Initially, OneCanopy was organized around the idea of a conservation nursery. So if you're familiar with state-type nursery, conservation nursery operations to provide plant material, native plant material for reforestation, particularly post-disturbance reforestation. But we quickly realized that, at least in northern Colorado, there's a dearth of truly native plant nurseries. And so we have morphed our operational plan into more of a retail wholesale with a conservation focus. You can go ahead and move on. So we are located in Loveland, Colorado, approximately 2 miles west of I-25. We have 18,000 feet of heated indoor greenhouse space, 3.5 acres of outdoor rearing facilities or finishing facilities, and another 3.5 acres of property that we've dedicated to a seed orchard and schooling blocks. So the idea is that we would, hopefully use that property to provide a sustainable source material for our seed into the future. One of so our primary customers, again, we were established in June of 22. Our primary customers are government and tribal entities. We work with nonprofits. We work with other nurseries, carbon credit companies, and private landowners. And more and more, we're realizing that one of the heavy hitters that we're working with right now are municipalities. And so there's a lot of push in the Fort Collins, Loveland, northern Colorado area to modify landscapes, primarily commercial landscapes, more towards native plant materials. So the municipalities have become a good customer of ours. You can go on, Morgan. I mentioned that initially that OneCanopy was developed under the conservation nursery program, and part of that initial planning came from an article that the Nature Conservancy of the United States Forest put out in 2021 about the reforestation pipeline. And as that applies to native plant material, there's again the lack of capacity for growing native plant material, in addition to the challenges around procuring and collecting and cleaning seed. So that was one of the main factors that got us started in the nursery business, and to be more impactful across that entire reforestation pipeline. But again, like I mentioned, that initial mission and those initial goals have morphed into more of a native plant capacity. And so we see ourselves working more and more, not only in post-disturbance, reforestation after wildfire and flooding, but across the native plant pipeline in general. And so we've got, several different entities within habitat restoration, other nurseries that are requiring more and more native plant material. And then, of course, again, like I mentioned, the state agencies, government agencies, and a lot of kind of supporting conservation districts. So right now we're working with about a dozen conservation districts in the state of Wyoming, and then approximately a dozen in Colorado as well, too. So trying to fulfill not only the retail wholesale inventories, but also try to make up for those state agencies and federal nurseries that aren't producing like they have historically produced. Go ahead. So then that brings me to how we might be able to interact with other nurseries that are in attendance today, or other land managers or private entities. It's a pretty seamless way that we work with our customers. We hope to help with timeline and budget. What are your species and container needs and seed needs? And so, like Amy mentioned in her presentation, the sooner the better, particularly if it involves ecotypic seed or or seed source that is otherwise difficult for us to procure. But you can see there that we have a lot of different ways that we can interact with you, other ways that we can help solve any of the problems and the challenges around native plant material procurement. Move on. Some of the highlights, some of the projects highlighted there. Again, post-fire restoration, post-disturbance. We work with a lot of different habitat groups in developing, whether that be sagebrush restoration, bird habitat, fish habitat. Work a lot with riparian restoration, and then we're also developing a larger container. We do offer the 10 cube. We do offer the D40s, and then our newest product is that one on the right that you see there. That's a 1.5 gallon grow bag. An idea being there again, provide a deeper root system than the traditional 1 gallon. Just better root mass, better establishment and survival over time. Go ahead, Morgan. And that's just some of the folks that we work with. We work with the National Park Service, tribal organizations on Pine Ridge in South Dakota, retail wholesale nurseries, and then again, conservation districts make up probably our biggest component right now. Our current inventory, we do about 40 different species on spec. So that means that in any given year, 40 species will always show up on our inventory list. But then we've got in doing all of our different projects, we've got about 300 different species that are available. A lot of that is our custom palette. And of course that's all open to whatever we need to do to help fulfill those projects. Okay. So anyway, I unfortunately am going to have to step off the call this morning. I have a call that involves some federal funding that's been frozen, but please let me know if you have any questions. You can go to that last slide, Morgan. That's contact information for us, and welcome the opportunity to work with you, work with other nurseries and landowners, land managers. But again, thank you for your time this morning, and thank you, Morgan, for involving me.
Thank you, Josh. And that brings us to our final grower in the grower showcase, North Fork Native Plants.
Hello everyone, my name is Rebecca Wright. I work for North Fork Native Plants, and we actually have one of our owners here, Jeff Boston, in the back. And we are.
Just click on top of it.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. We are based in Rexburg, Idaho, and we've been around. We're a wholesale native plant nursery and habitat restoration service provider based in Rexburg. We've been around over 20 years now. And here's a snapshot of the native plant products and the restoration services that we provide. We have a variety of containerized plants from 50 cubic bunds all the way up to 5 gallon, tree shrub willows. We also have a handful of species always in stock of bare wetland plants, herbaceous, and then we also have some pre-vegetated foyer products. But by far, what makes us the most unique is our 11 hydroponic ponds that we have that we use to produce our wetland sod and biologs. And if you're not familiar with those, let's quickly explain what those are. So foyer is just shredded coconut husk, and it's a fiber that's commonly used in erosion control products. And that's the fiber that we use to design our custom foyer mat, which we use as our medium to grow out our wetland sod. And we use two different kinds of starter plants. Either we'll use our berries or we'll grow out a starter plant in our greenhouses, plant those in the foyer mat, put those out in our hydroponic ponds, and let those grow out for anywhere from 3 months to 12 months, depending on which starter source we used. And by the end of that time, this is what we end up with. So you have the foyer mat and those plants are fully grown out. And it's a very similar process with biologs or foylogs as well. And the idea behind these is that the plants are growing for a longer amount of time. They're not restricted by a container. So as a lot of plant people know, the larger the root system, the more energy source the plant have, which makes it more resilient. Once it gets to the project site, it also makes the establishment more rapid. Our wetland sod establishes in like 4 to 6 weeks if it's planted in the right hydrology during the growing season. And those roots and shoots have also integrated themselves into the foyer matrix. And so it's a lot harder for a waterfowl to manage those plants. And so you're really getting a 2-in-1. You're getting the erosion control product and the native wetland sand all in one. And on top of that, you can see that mat, it just rolls out, stakes down just like turf sod, so you're covering that seed bank underneath. Really great for weed condition. And And our coir does not have any plastic bedding in it. It's 100% biodegradable. So after a couple seasons, that coir is gone, and you're left with just your native plant stand. And so for that reason, historically, most of what we've grown in our nursery is typically found in that kind of toe bank zone, typically a lot of herbaceous wetland plants. But as the years have gone on, we've actually added a lot of native trees, shrubs, willows, and sagebrush, bitterbrush, rabbitbrush. But the reason that we typically, even to this day, grow a little bit more of those wetland species and those other species is because those seeds are very hard to get to germinate. Not only do they need just the right amount of heat, water, and sunlight, but they also need to go through a stratification period. Which, if you don't know what stratification is, it's just putting that seed through a cold, wet environment for a specific amount of time in order to unblock germination. And this time frame greatly depends on what species we're working with. Sometimes it doesn't need a stratification requirement, but it can be typically from a few weeks, sometimes up to 6 months. But because we can follow those protocols, we always get a much higher germination rate in our greenhouses than we would ever see on a project site just seeding wetland seed. But with that being said, we have seen an uptick in the past couple of years of more woody species that we're being asked to grow, more pollinators, more sagebrush and bitterbrush, and it typically is just really dependent on what funding is coming to what projects and what agencies. And so it can be difficult for us to just kind of guess what projects are coming down the pipeline and have a large general inventory, especially for plants that don't do well in a container for a long period of time. But with that being said, we do have a general inventory. It's just greatly influenced by what projects we've just been growing for. Any of those extras from our custom growing goes into our general inventory and are available pretty much at any time. And so just to give kind of a grower's perspective, when a client comes to us and say they want a 10 cubic inch plug ready by June, and they have a project that they want to plant in June. Well, from our perspective, we know we need to have that plant hardened off ready to go late May, which means we've needed about 4 months of time to get that plant fully rooted, which means we needed to have sown that seed out in the greenhouse around February 1st, which means we needed to have that stratification and seed pre-treatment protocol completed or started around October. But let's say on average around October, we needed to have started that, which means we would have needed to have the seed on hand by September/August, whether it's from our own seed we need to have reserved in our system, or purchasing it from a seed vendor, or having a client have collected that seed and mail it to us so that we can start those protocols on time. So the things that can affect this timeline, again, are species because of that stratification need, container size. So it's a larger container size, we need more time to get it rooted out. And it's just greatly affected by delivery timeline. So maybe they want it in April. Okay, well, that means we're going to have had to grow that plant the previous year. We're not growing anything in our greenhouses prior to February. It's just too cold, sun angle isn't right, we don't have lights in our greenhouses. So February 1st is really the earliest to start our grow. So that means we'll have to start it summer before, and then over winter at our greenhouse and ship it in April. So really just when you need to plant greatly depends on when you start this. And then on top of that, if there's any custom seed collection timing thrown in there, you could be talking 2-3 years in advance. But like our other growers have said, time is of the essence. If you have a project like coming down the timeline or pipeline and you're not sure what timeline you're looking at for the species you might need, just reach out to your grower, have that discussion so you have that information ahead of time, because time is of the essence. You just really need the proper amount of time to get the plants ready for you. And that's the biggest hurdle that we face consistently year after year, whether it's like funding isn't available, when they need to place the order in advance. So that's why we're excited to be here and have this roundtable discussion and talk about ways that we can figure out how to not make this such a hurdle from the grower's perspective. So thank you.
That's it for the grower showcase. That's a lot of information. Amy.
I'd love to add something.
Sure.
And hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn for the other growers in this space and also for Josh at OneCanopy, but I do want to say that we all know each other and work with each other, so I feel like that's like an important thing to know about the native grower space. Like me and Alicia thought plans between each other, same with delivery plans and under us in North Fork and OneCanopy, so we all work together and know each other and try to fill in for each other when, if I chamber than it probably has been in the past. So.
Thank you, Amy. Thanks for clarifying.